Hello and welcome to another video, and in this one, unfortunately, I'm the bearer of bad news. The Warhawk is dead. The Marauder 2C killed it. We're going to go over the reasons why this is occurring. The Marauder 2C is just so much better than the Warhawk could ever be at any playstyle that the Warhawk can currently do well. Let's go through the reasons. I got a list in front of me, and I got a bunch of comparisons in the video to show you. Nice side-by-sides. Starting off here with the profiles of the mech. We can see the Warhawk on the left, the Marauder 2C on the right for all of these examples. Front-on profile, you can see the Warhawk is really blocky. It's a great big blob of a mech. It's quite a lot of surface area to shoot at. It seems pretty obvious where its center torso and side torsos are, especially where the arms joint on. It's very obvious where those hitbox delineations are. So when I see this and I go, yeah, I can CT that easily, it feels pretty simple. You look at the Marauder 2C on the right and you go, well, that center torso actually looks pretty skinny. The side torsos, they kind of slope back, and the arms are quite closer to the torsos, possibly allowing you to twist some shots and have them go onto your arm armor instead of going into your torso armor. Moving on to a side profile, they're both big. I mean, the Marauder 2C is larger because, I mean, the thing's got a big old butt, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the Warhawk is like hitting the broadside of a barn. The Marauder 2C is like hitting the broadside of a larger barn. It doesn't matter if one mech is a little bit bigger when they're both really easy to shoot from the side. Both, like, you'll lose your side torso quite easily for both of them. And when it comes to torso twisting back and forth, the Warhawk, you pretty much can't hide your big bulky CT. You have to actually twist a little bit more when it comes to having to protect a side torso, where because of the big, that's because of the big center torso hitbox, it's quite wide, where on the Marauder 2C, everything's a little more narrower, a little more vertical, so just a little bit of movement back and forth, you can hide a side torso, and you could put the damage and spread it out a little bit better. Next up is really the hardpoint positions on these mechs. You can see that the Warhawk is actually very low slung. All of its weapons are in the arms. They are low slung arms. They're down at its hip actuators, like it's where its hips are attaching to the mech. And the cockpit's actually a little bit higher on the Warhawk. So that difference in terms of from cockpit to weapons, I mean, the weapons are about the same height on both mechs, but the cockpit on the Warhawk is a little bit higher up. So your perspective makes the weapons feel lower because you're going to have to push more of your mech up and over the cover in order to get firepower on your opponents. We're on the side of the Marauder 2C. We got really high melted weapon hardpoints on this thing. We'll get this spinning of the Marauder 2CA. You can see the 3 Ultra 5s are nice and high on the right torso. You hardly have to expose any of your mech in order to get those on target, where with the Warhawk you have to expose pretty much the entire mech in order to get any firepower downrange. Also with the Marauder 2C, a lot of them have torso and center torso energy hardpoints that are clustered around the cockpit. So you only have to barely squeak over a hill in terms of your pilot's position in order to get your lasers on target. It allows you to fall back. Now, when it comes to customization on these things, there's some problems with the Warhawk. It's got a lot of fixed components. I mean, it's an Omni-Mech, you're going to have a fixed engine, you're going to have fixed upgrades. That's an Omni-Mech, that's what they do. However, it's not the best. It's got all of those all those heat sinks locked in the side torso, and that makes it so that, you know, you can't put anything there. If those heatsinks were removable, you could possibly stack ammo in that location. Take, for example, I'll throw up a random LRM design for a Warhawk. Just something I'll smash something together in the game. We can see that, yeah, we can take like 4 LRM-15s, but there's literally no room outside of the torsos. We have to put all of the ammo in the arms, which means that even though we could have torso weapons, if we lose both of our arms, they're useless. So it creates some problems, where with the Marauder 2C we can put things in the legs, we can put things in the center torso, we can put things in the head. We can have all those options to squirrel ammo away, such that if we lose an arm and we lose a gun, hey, we're not out of ammo for the gun in the other arm. You know what I mean? It makes, actually, Warhawks really easy to disable. If you're trying to go, say, a dual large ballistics, like the 2 Ultra 20 Warhawk or something along those lines, all the ammo's in the right torso. You take out the right torso, the mech is dead. And that doesn't happen in the Marauder 2C. Also, the Warhawk is stuck to Ferro armor, where the Marauder 2C can take Ferro or Endo or both or neither, all depending on whether or not it wants those critical slots or the extra weight. And because it can take all those kind of things, you can get extra weight, you can actually take a bigger engine. The Marauder 2C can take up to an XL400, where the Warhawk is stuck to a 340. The Marauder 2C and the Warhawk are both fine for movement. Like, they're both decently mobile assaults. I actually have several MAD-IIC designs that are sitting around the 340, 350 range for the XL engine. But I'm finding it better and better to start taking the 375, 380, 400. Start getting some of this higher speed. Benefit of that is that your torso is twisting faster, you can spread damage faster, you're accelerating faster and decelerating faster, you can poke out, get a hit, get back into cover well before a Warhawk would be able to. So that just, again, goes along with this. This MAD-IIC just has all the things that the Warhawk can't do. And because of this, it's just so much more viable for a community warfare drop deck. I would much rather have a MAD-IIC taking up 85 tons than I would a Warhawk. I see the Warhawk as a very poor choice to spend 85 of our very limited 240 tons. If you're taking an assault in a clan drop deck, that assault has to do some serious work. And the only thing I can see that's out there is going to be the MAD-IIC. I mean, otherwise I would rather take one of the heavies, a Nightgear, a Timberwolf, something along those lines. And people may rebuttal and say, well, the one thing the Warhawk can do is LRMs, and the MAD-IIC can't do those very well. And I would go, yes, kind of, in a vacuum. If you're just looking at the C-bill mechs, the stuff that you can buy without spending real money on the game, yeah, eventually, of course the MAD-IICs aren't out for C-bills yet. They will be out for C-bills sometime next year. But, yeah, the Warhawk Bravo can take missiles that the MAD-IIC just simply can't. But we're excluding the abilities of Hero the Scorch, who can take way more LRMs. The Warhawk Bravo, with its center torso missile hardpoint, can only take a LRM 10 with Artemis or a LRM 15. It can't take anything bigger than that, because only 2 slots. Where the Scorch can take 4 LRM 20s with Artemis or something stupid. Like, it can take 4 LRM 20s and an XL engine, because it has the space and the hardpoints in the right locations. So yeah, the Warhawk is dead, and the Marauder 2C killed it. But how could we resurrect the Warhawk? We would want this thing back, and we want it to kick ass. The first thing to do would be to unlock these double heat sinks in the legs, the left torso. Like, yes, please allow us to remove those. That would give the Warhawk ability to better distribute its ammo. It could put big old guns on and then squirrel ammo into its legs and evenly distribute it between its torsos. That way, if you lost a single side torso, your gun on the other side doesn't go dry. Also, it would free up some tonnage so that we can do builds that don't need as much heat dissipation, like the 2 large ballistic builds, or ballistic, or like say those 2 large ballistics and then like the B center torso and right torso to give you 3 SRMs. That would be a devastating brawler. That would be quite nice, but it's not going to need all of these heat sinks in the left torso and legs. We could take some of those out. If we needed them, if a person was going to run lasers on a Warhawk, they'd put them back in. But allow us to play with them, play with the mech, so that we can have that little bit better build. Of course, you know, the Warhawk has some quirks and stuff like that, but even with the quirks, I feel like it just falls behind. The quirks would either need to be like massively improved or the base chassis improved. But yeah, I think that's it. Just, the MAD-IIC is an amazing mech. I cannot wait for things like the Rifleman 2C, the Warhammer 2C. When those hit, it's going to be devastating. They're going to be amazing mechs. They're not going to need a single quirk, simply because they are basically the best a battle mech could possibly be. But anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully the Warhawk can be resurrected in the future, and we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, and good hunting.